Trump attacked, calling Bloomberg a, quote, total racist in a tweet that the president later deleted. This morning, Bloomberg's campaign manager, Kevin Sheekey, told me exclusively this: when you threaten Trump, you become a target. Mike was mayor for 12 years and fought for all New Yorkers. But he also knows you don't back down from a bully, and we're in a war to remove him from office. A war. I want to bring in Steve Benjamin, the mayor of Columbia, South Carolina, and the national co-chair of the Bloomberg campaign. Mayor Benjamin, is what your campaign chair, Kevin Sheekey, saying, this is not about policing, it's about political warfare, and what happened yesterday was a game of dirty politics?
Well, certainly. You know, we know the source of the video, but it's important to note. Mike understands the history of stop and frisk. He understands the issues of systemic bias in policing that didn't start in New York and haven't ended since 2012 are real, and we have to address them looking forward. But yes, when you become a threat to Donald Trump, he steps up, and he understands that a broad coalition of Democrats are coalescing behind Mike Bloomberg. We're #1 in polling in Arkansas. We're #2 or 3 in Florida and Texas and Missouri. All across this country, we're appealing to people all across the spectrum, and he's become a real threat. Mike has become a real threat to Donald Trump. What we saw yesterday in New Hampshire is we see still a very splintered party that needs to very quickly coalesce behind someone who can broaden the base and attract Democrats from across the spectrum. Mike Bloomberg is emerging as that candidate. Yesterday was some politics, but you know that comes with the game in 2020 in America. But I feel very strongly that Mike Bloomberg is the candidate. I will say this too, Stephanie. I had the opportunity to serve as mayor with Mike for 2 years and certainly work with him since he's left office. Stop and frisk was a threshold issue for a lot of Americans who are determining who will be their president. I would ask them also, look at the fact that the youth incarceration rates in New York City dropped by 50% while Mike was president. Look at the fact, while he was mayor, look at the fact that he established a Young Men's Initiative that served as the framework for President Obama's My Brother's Keeper initiative. Look at the fact that the achievement gap with black and brown kids in New York City was cut in half by Mike's leadership. He led for all New Yorkers, and he'll do that same thing for America.
But, Mayor, Mike Bloomberg said, and I want to make sure I have the quote correct, as part of the effort to stop gun violence, the stop and frisk policy was overused. Absolutely. Overused and absolutely inappropriate are two different things. Does he think there's a place for this policy?
No, he does not. He does not, and it was a threshold issue that obviously late last fall, we were at CCC Church when he admitted that he'd made a mistake and didn't realize the impact it was having on black and brown communities in New York City. He apologized for it, and it's important that if we're going to roll the tape back, not just on Mike Bloomberg, but all the candidates on both sides of the aisle, that we realize that it's not making a mistake, it's acknowledging that you made a mistake in policy or practice and decided to move forward. That's a sign of humility and a sign of leadership, and we use more of that in American politics.
But Mayor Bloomberg often says it's all about data. It's not just about data. It's about humanity and the way people feel. We know 2 days ago your campaign was feeling very good about the latest Quinnipiac poll where Mike is gaining support among African-American voters. But when more people hear what Mayor Bloomberg actually said, aren't you concerned that's going to eat into this support?
No, we're excited. Just this morning, we're rolling out 3 more incredibly important endorsements. Lucy McBath, a Congresswoman, CBC member from Georgia, Gregory Meeks, Congressman from New York, Stacey Plaskett, a Congresswoman from the Virgin Islands. We have momentum, and we have momentum amongst a broad, people often like to think that African-American voters are homogeneous. It's a heterogeneous group of voters who all want to win in November and send Donald Trump home and see Mike Bloomberg as a key vehicle to making that happen. I do not see this as stunting Mike's incredible momentum we're seeing. Just the Arkansas poll I mentioned that came out yesterday, #1 in Arkansas, in the big states of Florida and Texas, #2 and #3 in North Carolina. We're surging, and that will not be stopped by a tweet from someone on the other side, on the Democratic side, or even something from the President of the United States.
You know who else is surging? Senator Amy Klobuchar, Mayor Pete Buttigieg. With them doing so well in New Hampshire, is there really a lane for Mike? Aren't they going for the same voters? Excuse me, Mayor Mike?
No. I'm not sure what we determine is a surge or not. And Pete's a friend, and I've come to enjoy and respect Senator Klobuchar as well. I don't know her as well as I know Pete. No, the real determination is going to be on Super Tuesday. The next test for Pete and Amy will be in South Carolina and in Nevada. I will tell you this: after that's all done, only 6% of the delegates will be decided. The real prizes are in March and April. But if we don't coalesce around a candidate who can win and beat Donald Trump in November, we're going to have major problems. We noticed you didn't ask me any questions about the vice president. I'm not sure exactly what this means for the Biden campaign, but I do know we have to quickly gather around a candidate who's proven that he can beat Donald Trump just the same way that Mike beat him in Virginia in 2018. Mike Bloomberg can win this campaign. Donald Trump knows it. He's afraid. We've got to beat him.
All right, Mayor, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I appreciate it. Still ahead, the number of